stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, guys. All right, we will start off with recognition of Mr. Doug Deacon by Dr. Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a great way to start a meeting when we're recognizing somebody like Mr. Deacon. We've got, this year, I think we've got 16 certified retirees, and that's 16 that bring over 500 years of experience to our students and staff. So we're obviously going to miss all of them and congratulate all of them, but every so often you have a retiree that it was pretty much just a legacy to a building, and you just can't imagine what the building's going to be like without them. And that is certainly what I would say about Mr. Doug Deacon. Mr. Deacon, would you come up, please? So Ms. Cundiff, who's retiring this year as well, back in the back, gave me some facts about Mr. Deacon that I'll read to you. One, he's been in our school division for over 42 years. Same school, two different buildings. Thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
Taught 7th grade for 4 years, taught 6th grade for 38 years. He's taught English, math, history, and science. Most preps he ever had was 9 in one day. That's different subjects that he would teach. Worked for 7 different principals. Was the bus administrator. That's basically your traffic controller after school with dismissal for 21 years. And that's being out there wearing the vest, right?
Didn't have a vest back in the day.
Didn't have a vest back in the day, right?
Tough guys, you know.
He's put himself in the little
As long as they didn't back over you. If they ran over you, it's okay. But if they backed over you,
You are going to be tremendously missed at Westburg Middle School. Doug, thank you for everything. Outside of school, he's had 39 and a half years with the Brookville Timberlake Fire Department and 34 years as manager of the Hill City Swim Club. So maybe you can spend some more time over there with them and at home, obviously.
Home.
It's where he lives. He's been there.
Right. So anyway, I was talking to Doug the other day, and he told me an interesting story that I'm going to let him tell to you all about how and when he was hired.
Actually, I found out the date, July the 12th of 1984. Yeah, somewhere it popped up somewhere in 84, yeah. I was building Dr. Nowley's house at the time. We were over in Wildwood, and I'd seen him in the morning about 6 o'clock putting dormer roof on or something like that. And I saw him later after I talked to Benny Arthur, and he hired me and said, go across the street and see Don Campbell and Company. So I did that, and that was fine. And Dr. Nowley looked at me and kind of gave me a strange look. I said, yeah, I'm double dipping today. You're going to employ me as contract and then I'm school teaching. And he said, well, that's nice. Well, come into my office. Well, the fun part was at that point in time, the school administration building was the old jail. And you go into his office and the jail door was open. And I'm like, Dr. Nowley, that's nice. He goes, the key is behind me. I said, the key's behind you. He goes, on the wall. I said, there is a key behind you. He goes, that works the door. I said, so at some point in time, they do like to shut the door on you and leave you in here. He said, more often than you would think. So it's kind of interesting that I was hired out of a jail cell. And kept me for 42 years, so. But it's been good. It's changed a little bit, you know, starting off with chalkboards and whiteboards and then a smart board and then a Prometheum board. Yeah, no computers to everything's computerized, and so it's been an interesting change over the years. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, I know we've got some board members who would like to say a few things.
Oh, scary.
I think for us, and I'm going to stand, I think. I was going to go over there. Well, yeah, we'll come over here. I need my phone to read a couple things. for us, what makes Doug so unique is the fact that, we know he's spent 42 plus years in the Rustburg community, but for us, he's been a part of the Brookville community just about as long. And his impact that he has goes way beyond what's felt in Rustburg. And I see heads nodding because I'm sure there are some kids out here that you have hollered at on a pool deck or you hired, you worked that.
Mr. Mike Howard's back there, he's now sheriff's deputy.
There you go.
So,
You see the lasting impact. It's ball games, it's sporting events. He and Cheryl are always present at those. There are kids that will say they were Doug raised, and it means Doug has raised them not just as employees at the pool, but he's had them since they were tiny little kids, that he has taught them to be resilient. He's taught them to be respectful. He has grown these adults that have gone on to be future leaders in our community, and pretty significant impact when you think that it goes from one side of the county and it stretches on to the other, and that's not even touching the fire department that I'll let you touch on as well. I do have a couple things to read from Rustburg, from two teachers, yes. So I reached out to some of my colleagues in Rustburg. 6th grade team wants to recognize Doug Deacon for his years of service as a teacher at Rustburg Middle School, known for his unforgettable stories, funny sayings, and willingness to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. Doug has made a lasting impact on countless students and staff members and will truly miss his presence at Rustburg Middle School and are grateful for the memories we've made along the way. Another teammate said, Doug has been the heart of Rustburg Middle School for many years. His love of people, the profession, and learning has been an inspiration to many. He has shared his love of working for the fire department with students and taught them so many safety skills. If you've ever talked to Doug, his enthusiasm is evident. His stories help engage the students, making learning authentic. He's going to be missed by his friends and has left a lasting impact on so many people.
I'm not as good as Karen as flying by the brain, so I wrote it down. Doug, it is an honor to recognize your 42 years of service to Campbell County Public Schools. Last year, our division focused on the word impact, and there are very few people who represent that word more fully than you do. Your impact cannot be measured simply by years worked or titles held, because your influence has reached far beyond the walls of a classroom. Just the other day, I was out to dinner and your name came up, and the woman at the table immediately said, I love Doug. He hired me as a lifeguard at Hill City. And I think that says so much about who you are. For generations of people in this community, you were someone who gave them a chance, believed in them, encouraged them, and helped shape who they became. Some knew you as their teacher. Some knew you from summers at Hill City Pool, where you gave young people not just jobs, but confidence, mentorship, and responsibility during some of the most formative years of their lives. Others knew you through your service with Brookville Timberlake Volunteer Fire Department, where in people's hardest and most frightening moments, there you were, calm, dependable, and ready to help. And maybe the greatest example of who you are is the fact that when it was time to retire, you stayed another year simply because you made a promise to a student. That kind of character, loyalty, and compassion cannot be taught. It comes from life spent showing up for others again and again, quietly and without asking for recognition. You have spent decades pouring into this community, and generations of people in Campbell County are better, safer, and stronger because they knew you. The measure of a life is not simply in years served, but in lives touched, and your impact on this community is immeasurable. Doug, thank you for the countless lives you have shaped and the example you have set for all of us. We wish you a joyful, peaceful, and truly well-deserved retirement.
Thank you, Mayor.
Karen and I came up with an award for you, Certificate of Community Impact.
Deal. I'm gonna break that way.
There you go.
We're thankful he hasn't quite retired from Hill City, but we know the time is. He keeps saying, I'm gonna retire. And he's still there until she'll drag me away.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Thank you. So, like you said,
We got you around.
Yeah. Sure. Or Tommy's got a picture.
Yeah.
Are we going?
We'll get in your lap. I'm feeling this style over the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr.
Any other,
Deacon, how many parents and children have you taught?
I would not know, Mr. Jones. I don't know, now that we have semesters for the sixth grade, last, 6 years, kind of hard to say. You know, it used to be easy, you'd be, 60 to 80 a year, it was about 40, so it's, 4,000. But with semesters, yeah, 6,000. I am on grandchildren, so I.
You have done grandchild. I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
I was gonna
I had
get.
a grandparent that I taught one of my first years,
That's-
and then had a
crazy?
daughter, had a lot of kids. as well.
Children.
So
I was trying to do some calculations, see if grandchild was possible, but
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is, yeah. I've had 4, something like that over the years. Well, over the last 4 years. So yeah,
Well.
it's kind of scary that you've had 3 generations. Family, so you think one of them would take me out.
but your style hasn't changed because my daughter said he used to tell the best stories, and now my grandson says, man, he tells good stories. I hope my grandson didn't bust your bubble this morning because I didn't know if it was going to be a surprise or not.
They're just interesting kids. You know, everyone's different. You know, everyone's, oh, that's so-and-so's brother. I don't care. You're not. No, don't compare me to somebody else. You, that may have been your brother, but I don't want to.
That's good. That's great.
But I appreciate the board.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
All right, good start to the meeting. We'll continue with Dr. Hale, recognition of Central Virginia Governor's School Science Fair winners for Campbell County Public Schools.
Yes, the celebrations continue. Next, we want to recognize our Central Virginia Governor's School Science Fair winners. And at this point, I will turn it over to Mrs. Laney Patrick, who will share more about our winners.
Good evening, Chairman Phillips, members of the school board, Superintendent Stanley, and guests. Tonight, I'm very honored to recognize several outstanding Campbell County students who represented our division at the Central Virginia Regional Science Fair on March 14th, 2026 at Central Virginia Community College. The Regional Science Fair brings together some of the brightest young scientific minds from across our area. Students spend months designing investigations, conducting research, analyzing data, and presenting their findings to judges from science, engineering, higher education, and industry leaders. Their projects reflect creativity, perseverance, innovation, and true passion for learning. This year, Campbell County Public Schools and Central Virginia Governor's School had an exceptional showing, earning numerous category awards, and I would like to take a moment to recognize the following students. Alexander Santiago from Rustburg High School, from the Governor's School as well, earned third place in animal science. Isaac Kwong from Brookville High School and CVGS received honorable mention in animal sciences. Kevin Correa Laredo from Rustburg High School, CVGS, earned first place in behavioral and social sciences. It's a big list, so sorry, pardon me. Narissa Chambers from Brookville High School earned second place in cellular and molecular biology. Genevieve Fitzgerald from Brookville High School earned first place in chemistry for her project, Oil Absorbance Rates of Natural and Synthetic Absorbents. Tulsi Desai from Brookville High School earned third place in Earth and Environmental Sciences. Jacob Callis from Brookville High School earned first place in Energy and Embedded Systems for his project investigating piezoelectric materials. Christopher Anthony from Rustburg High School earned second place in materials science, and Luke Compton from Brookville High School earned second place in physics and astronomy. Kevin Correa Laredo also received the American Psychological, sorry about that, I'm going to fast forward, there we go, there's the right slide, received the American Psychological Association Special Award. Tulsi Desai received recognition in connection with the U.S. Stockholm Water Prize. And Christopher Anthony received a Lynchburg Dental Society Award for his excellence in research. We are also very proud to recognize 2 students who advanced to the Virginia State Science Fair that they had back in April, and those students were Kevin Laredo and Genevieve Fitzgerald. These accomplishments are a testament not only to the dedication of our students, but also to the support of their teachers, mentors, families, and the learning opportunities provided throughout Campbell County Public Schools and Central Virginia Regional Governor School. At this time, I would like to invite 2 of our first place winners to come and share a little bit about their projects, and then you guys can hear firsthand and see their amazingness in action. So Genevieve. You guys stand right over here so I can see it.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Fitzgerald, and my project was determining the different oil absorbance rates of both natural and synthetic absorbents. So oil spills are a major environmental hazard, with over 3 million tons of oil being released into the environment every single year, mainly through oil spills in the ocean. And traditional cleanup methods of oil spills are often really costly and can do more harm than good. One example of this can be seen with the Deepwater Horizon spill in 2010. Chemical dispersants were used in the cleanup of that oil spill, and the way chemical dispersants work is they're these chemicals that are put into a plane and they're flown over top of the oil spill, and they're dropped on the oil spill, and the chemicals interact with the oil and they break it down into smaller particles that then dissolve into the water so that the oil spill disappears. However, studies done in the aftermath of this oil spill have shown that while the chemicals do break the oil down into these smaller particles, these particles don't dissipate into the water like they're supposed to. They stay in those particles, which is really bad because then fish and other sea life ingest the oil and then it enters the food chain. So new studies have come out using synthetic absorbents, which are modified or man-made absorbents. However, these absorbents are not easily recyclable, and so once they're full of that oil, they're often taken and just thrown in landfills, which is also not good because then instead of the oil just being in the ocean, the oil is instead just in a landfill. So new research has come out using natural absorbents, which are compounds found in nature that naturally absorb oil on their own, which led me to my research question, which was, if I use both a natural and a synthetic absorbent to clean up an oil spill, will the natural absorbent work better? So for my experiment, I had 3 trays that I filled with the 1/2 liter solution of oil and water. So I took 400 milliliters of water and then I put 100 milliliters of oil on top. And then I took 3 absorbents. I had 2 natural absorbents, which was sawdust and coconut coir fibers. And I tested them against a synthetic absorbent, which was Huron Neosafe, which is a really common chemical used in oil spill cleanup. And so I weighed each absorbent and placed them in their individual tray, and I left them to soak overnight for 24 hours so that they could absorb any oil and water that they would. And then when that 24 hours was up, I would take them out of the trays, weigh them a second time to determine how much oil and water had been absorbed. And then I would leave them out to dry for 48 hours because after 48 hours, any excess water that had also been absorbed would have time to evaporate and I would be left with only the oil weight, and then after 48 hours, I would weigh them a third time and subtract their initial weight from this final weight to determine how much oil had been absorbed in grams. So at the end of my project, I determined that it was not statistically significant. When I ran my statistics tests at the end, on average, it returned a p-value of 0.01 for my groups for the Huron Neosafe compared to the coconut coir fibers, which is significant because it's lower than the alpha value I used. However, when I ran the test again for my sawdust and Huron Neosafe groups, it returned a p-value of 0.14, which is not significant because it's a lot higher than my alpha value, which led me to only partially support my research hypothesis. Thank you.
And now we have Jacob. Sorry, I'm going to mess his name up again. Jacob is coming up to share his project. And you can just take this. You're doing such a good job.
So, hello. My name is Jacob Kalis. I also attend Brookville High School and Central Virginia Governor School. And for my research project, I examined the effect of applied forces on the energy harvested from piezoelectric materials. And so going into this research project, I had a personal interest in examining alternative forms of energy. And so the way piezoelectric materials work is when either mechanical stress or vibrational stress is applied to the material, it creates tiny fractures in the material surface. These fractures then create a potential difference with the material and its surrounding area. This potential difference can then be used and harnessed and used to power electrical devices. And so for my research project, I wanted to ask the question, what does the effect of differing magnitudes of the applied force have on the potential difference created? Or just, does the more you press on it or the more force was applied, does it create a different potential? And so to examine this relationship, I had to compose a circuit that would allow me to simultaneously monitor the force that was applied to the material and the potential difference created. And so I started with a single little piezoelectric disc. Mine was made out of quartz, and I soldered this to an energy harvesting system. And for the purposes of my research, I connected a voltage probe directly to the energy harvesting module. And so when I interacted with the disc, I would be able to see the potential difference it created. I then took this disc and I attached it directly on top of a force plate, which would allow me to transfer the force directly from the disc onto the plate, and I would get a reading from the disc. And so I took this system and I started doing my data collection. I did a total of around 30 trials, each lasting about 30 seconds, and I collected a bunch of the voltage output based on the different magnitudes of force that was applied to the disc. And so from my 30 trials, I had a lot of voltage data and force data. And so I took the averages of each of these trials and I plotted them on a potential versus force graph, which would then allow me to run a statistical test, which would allow me to see if there was significance. And so from my research, I found that there was a statistically significant relationship between the force that was applied to the disc and the potential difference it created. And so using my model, I was able to, one could predict the voltage output at specific forces. Now, where this is implemented, the piezoelectric materials are really used in one of two areas. The first being in internal medical devices, where the use of a battery really it's not capable of using a battery, such as like in cochlear implants, they use piezoelectric materials. And so using my predicted model, you could predict the potential difference created at varying degrees of pressure. And so that could be used to create specific voltage differences for specific medical devices. So, thank you.
And thank you guys for listening to their wonderful projects. We have some amazing talent in Campbell County Public Schools. And thank you all for coming and sharing your projects with the board. And that's it.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you all so much for sharing with us tonight. That was very impressive. Thank you.
Yep, I was hoping you were going to go into a little more detail. I'm sure the board understood every word that was described. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming out. So. All right, and then Dr. Hale, I see you're staying put. So recognition of the Brookville High School speech team.
Yes, good
Dr.
evening
Hale.
again, Chairman and members of the board. Tonight, we are honored to have Mrs. Megan Emanuel, coaches Caden Ferguson and Bobby Markey, and the back-to-back state champion speech team from Brookville High School. They won the Class 3 state championship title on March 28th, and at this time, I will turn it over to them.
Thanks for letting us come. You all had expressed an interest last year in perhaps a little showcase. So we thought we'd bring the showcase to you all. Dr. Stanley came and saw our showcase before we went to states, and we appreciated his support. And we had 7 different categories represented out of the 10. And we took our biggest group yet to states. And they're gonna all give you, they're just gonna do 30 seconds from their pieces. These are 10-minute pieces, so we thought that would be the most appropriate thing to do, just to give you all a little taste of each different category. They're going to introduce themselves, and some of the content, so it ranges from pretty heavy, like the first one's going to be a school shooting piece, just so you all know. We tried to pick. Anyway, we thought it through. But anyway, so you're gonna see a variety of things. But the kids are going to introduce themselves, so you all go for it.
Hello, I'm Alec Irving,
And I'm Aubrey Pinsker, and we placed 4th at States for Serious Duo.
and our piece is called 10 Minutes by Jonathan Dorff. The debate awards was held at the House of Pecking.
So?
You're a co-captain. Co-captain always gets to decide the plays. If you don't like Chinese food, then why did you choose a...
Figure it out, Simon.
Oh, I'm sure that's not why
But what if I had said yes one stupid night? Maybe I would have been bored. Maybe I would have wished I was at home watching paint dry. Was that too much of a sacrifice? But would have stopped me from pulling out a rifle and...
How do you know that would have changed anything? Look at Vietnam.
This isn't Vietnam.
It sure feels like it. Except there was no helicopter coming here to save us.
Maybe there is. We're never gonna know unless we open the door.
You know what he said right before this all happened? He said he was not going to stop until he ran out of ammo. Or we were all dead. Or even he was.
I thought you said you couldn't
I
hear.
said I couldn't hear John. That was right before he emptied an automatic into the football table. The only time I'm grateful I'm not much of a jock.
I thought you said maybe if we did something different.
Not always.
I can't believe that.
Well, look at us. Look where we are now. It doesn't even matter.
We're gonna have to do this.
Every time I get near the door, the shaking just gets even worse.
Hi, my name is Kyle Brown, and I placed 4th in the category of prose. And this is The Big Seat by John C. Havens. Man, I can't even imagine how you do your job every day, dealing with those patients like Mr. Michelson, that guy that was in with me for a couple of days. He must be a real treat every day.
Nurse! Nurse! Didn't you hear me beeping? I don't care what you were doing. When I beep, I expect you to come. What if I was dying in you or something? So when I beep, I expect you to come. Now, could I get some more pudding?
I'm just kidding. I sympathize with him. I do. There are some days where I'm like that too. Stuck in the funk. Maybe I should loan him one of those Groucho tapes. Who knows? Besides, everyone would just a little Groucho.
Hello, I'm Isla Ferguson.
Hi, my name is Aiden Peters.
We placed 3rd in states for Serious Duo.
And our piece is named My Brother and I by Lena Shorskin.
Anna, why am I in the hospital? I'm not even sick this time.
Did you hear the doctors, Adam? They said they're going to switch our insides to make us feel better. Well, don't worry, you won't feel it because we'll be asleep.
Anna, do you want to play cards with me? I stuck some in my pocket.
Sure, do I get to be the fire truck again?
No, you can be the ambulance.
I thought the ambulance had to stay put.
The ambulance had to be there in case Adam got sick. But now Anna's sick, so you can be the ambulance.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
Anna, when we wake up tomorrow, will you play cards with me?
Sure, when we wake up tomorrow, we'll play together.
Hi, I'm Autumn Donnarumma,
is love in storytelling. My name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. I'm almost 6 years old. Almost 6 means you get to go to kindergarten. Kindergarten's where you go to meet new friends and not watch TV. Today was my first day of school. The bus came around the corner and screeched. It screeched very loudly that I had to close my ears. Then the door opened and the bus driver said, "Hi, I'm Mr. Wu. Hop on." And so I got on the bus, and guess what? It wasn't fun. Thank you.
My name is Emily Furbush, and I was state runner-up in original oratory. The halo theory, often referred to as the physical attractiveness stereotype, is the assumption that the perception of an individual's physical attractiveness is directly correlated to whether or not they're perceived as a good person. Basically, it's your brain saying, "They look kind, I like them." According to Very Well Mind, teachers may interact with students differently based on perceptions of attractiveness. For example, in one study, it was found that teachers had better expectations of students that they rated as more attractive. If that sounds unfair to you, that's probably because it is. Let's put it into perspective, shall we? Imagine you are an interviewer, and your job is to hire someone for the company that you work at. Which would you be more likely to hire? The middle-aged man with dirty clothes and disheveled hair who looks like he hasn't slept in over a week? Or the young spry man who's well put together and smells like pumpkin spice? It's a pretty obvious choice. Even though the middle-aged man could probably use the job more and could be just as qualified for it, it's often viewed as common sense to hire people who look like they put more effort into their appearance.
Hello, my name is Lucy Sloan, and I was state champion in dramatic interpretation. And my piece is called Multiple Personality Murder.
Who does he think he is? What right does he have to hurt someone like that? People aren't toys. People aren't animals. People aren't stinking ashtrays. Some people just don't care who they hurt. I ran into my mom's bedroom. I locked the door. I knew it was in here somewhere. I started pulling everything out of the drawers. Where is it? There's no time, Pat. Hurry! No time! I could hear him pounding at the door, yelling. Some people won't back up until you put some fear into them, you know? The gun. He's pounding, Pat. Harder and harder. Bang, 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 bang! Thank you.
Hello, I am Ethan Emanuel,
I'm Tegan Bohan,
and we are the state champions in humorous duo interpretation.
and our piece is Action News, now with 10% more action by Jonathan Rand. Shocking news in the world of religion. A priest, a rabbi, and a minister walk into a bar after realizing the bar is closed at 10, so they just go to Chili's. Hey! Ring, ring, ring.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the WOMG dinner bell, which means I have a question for all of our viewers out there. Who's hungry?
Yikes. Does that question mean what I think it means?
Probably not, Babs. You're probably thinking of something irrelevant and stupid, since you only made it past the 4th grade.
So did you, Jim.
3rd, actually. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Taylor Green, and I'm the 2-time state champion in poetry. African American history is filled with both deep pain and powerful resistance. From the horrors of lynchings turned into postcards, to the cruelty of enslaved children used as bait for alligators. Racism has constantly tried to turn Black suffering into entertainment or profit. In my selection of poems, each writer confronts the false image of America as the land of the free and equal. Together, they reveal the truth. That until America faces its past with honesty, the promise of freedom will never be real. Mrs. Butterworth, Uncle Ben, and Aunt Jemima by Frank X. Walker. Mrs. Butterworth, Uncle Ben, and Aunt Jemima walk into a bar in America. Butterworth says, "I'm being repackaged." Ben says, "I'm being rebranded." Jemima says, I remember when they branded my mama on her back. The bartender says I could stand in the middle of Main Street and kill somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters. Butterworth says, then I'll take 8 bullets in my sleep. Ben says, choke me to death with your knee. Jemima says, lock me in a holding cell and say I decided to hang myself. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sarah Beaker, and I'm state champion in storytelling, and my piece is Hugo and the Impossible Thing by Renee Fleece Smith.
At the edge of the forest stood
The impossible thing.
It was a jumbled mess of giant boulders. Ow! Thorny mazes, raging rivers, and towering cliffs. The animals in the forest often wondered what was beyond
The impossible thing.
but no one knew. Because getting through it would be impossible. And because everyone said it was impossible, no animal ever tried. Until one day, when a curious little dog named Hugo sat at the edge of
The impossible thing.
and thought to himself,
How do we know the impossible thing is impossible when no one has ever tried getting through it?
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Hey, that was fantastic.
Mr. Deacon, can you top that storytelling? I don't know if you bring that kind of intensity or not.
Thank
Yes,
you all
thank
so
you,
much.
everybody. Thank you, guys.
Awesome job. Thank you.
Wow. I'm scared, man. See if they can make this up.
I don't think we can top that.
Great. 6 people. All right, it's going to get a little more dull now.
Get all the empty
Matters
chairs.
from the floor. Do we have any speakers tonight? Okay. And we have approval of the April 20th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
A motion.
I need a second. I got a motion and a second on the approval of the meeting minutes. Any discussion about the meeting minutes? All right, if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Payment of the bills. Need a motion for payment of the bills, please.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for payment of the bills. Any comment in regards to the bills for this past month?
Just keep us out of jail.
All right, we'll try. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Have the acceptance of donations. Ms. McClanahan?
Tonight you have 14 donations for approval. Unless you have any questions on those, I ask that you approve it as presented.
Motion.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion about the donations this past month?
Just big thanks, my goodness.
Yes.
Thank you
Much-
very much.
Much
so.
appreciation.
Yep. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Consideration of requests for supplemental appropriations. Ms. McClanahan?
Tonight you have 2 appropriations for approval. I ask that you approve them as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion about the appropriations? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Personnel report. Ms. Hundley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have the personnel report in front of you tonight. We are still continuing to hire like crazy for next school year. This personnel report puts us at about 45 new hires for next school year already. We still have about 32 openings, but our principals are working very hard to fill those. No significant changes in our bus drivers. We did hire one that was replacing one that left us a couple weeks ago. So unless you have any other questions, I'd ask that you approve it as written.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion about the personnel report? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tanya. We got policy revisions. Dr. Hale.
Hello again, Chairman, members of the board. I apologize that this is not as exciting as the beginning of the meeting, but we are looking at our second reading of our policy revisions. I will highlight the ones that we did not highlight at the last meeting, as well as updated the proposed revisions rationale statement sheet. Policy BBBA has been updated for clarity, minor changes with of the and the member, and then also as provided by law. BBBC, this is also updated for clarity, and the highlighted paragraph adds the Virginia Code requirements for a school board vacancy. Policy GBEB, staff weapons in school, brings this policy into legal compliance. It also makes it more clear that the superintendent cannot authorize weapons in violation of the law, which in the original version was awkwardly written. It also adds the requirement to report as well. Policy GBG, this is staff participation in political activities. It is again updated for clarity. There was a grammatical error and assure to ensure has been changed. Policy GCG is professional staff probationary term and continuing contract. It also makes the code requirements more clear, changing he to the and shall to will. It also makes it more clear that it is automatic. Policy IEA is the Pledge of Allegiance. It changes shall to will and also changes to must not. So again, very minor changes. Policy IGBH is alternative school programs. It includes additional requirements from the Virginia Code as well as the high school equivalence examination, which would be the GED program is included. Policy IHB is class size, minor changes, but just does change will to will assign. Policy IICA, which is field trips. This is revised to reflect the required language from the VDOE, and in particular, it also makes sure that it applies to instructional activity field trips. So not every single field trip, but those that are instructional meet those requirements. On the back of the page, there's policy JGA. This is corporal punishment. Again, this makes it more clear and adds a cross-reference, changes shall to will and he to the, and it also makes sure that the policy does not prevent the use of reasonable and necessary force for safety purposes only, not punishment. And then the last policy that was not highlighted before is policy KK. This is for school visitors. It makes clear that visitors are to comply with our visitor registration process and also references our sex offender policy and extends to school buses and school-sponsored events. It also adds, unless restricted by law, under parent visitation to be in legal compliance. So those were the ones that were not discussed at the last meeting. I'm happy to revisit any other ones that you need, as well as answer any questions that you might have.
Does KK cover property not owned by us, but we're using it?
So it includes school-sponsored events. So anything where there's an agreement that the school has. Great
like
question.
Our baseball field.
Absolutely.
Or even prom.
Prom, if you have an agreement with that agency, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other?
Policy JFCD on weapons in school. How come there's, the first bullet is application to all persons?
Mm-hmm.
The second bullet is students with disabilities. Why is there a separate segment on that.
So under this policy, this has been updated again to bring that into legal compliance. And so specifically for that policy, get to the right page.
I mean, there were no changes made in the second one, students with disabilities. The first one says, general application to all persons.
So it changed it from generally to generally application to all persons, meaning that it applies to everyone on school grounds. So that was that change. And then no person, so they're moving the language of no person again to make that more clear, may possess or use those weapons on school property. It also makes it, even though it said school vehicles, that is included there. And then again, it says functions or activities when such functions or activities are taking place at a school-sponsored activity or any type of school bus except as authorized by law. So the intent of saying general application to all persons means everyone in legal speak. Great question.
Any other questions about any policies? Okay, get a motion to
Motion
approve.
approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Hale.
Thank you.
All right, consideration for religious exemptions. Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman, Dr. Stanley, members of the board. I have one request for religious exemption for your consideration this evening. So unless you have any questions, I request you approve as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments for Dr. Wilson? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
motion carries. Thank you. And Dr. Stanley, report tonight?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to give you all an update on where we are with the Canvas cyber attack. As you know, I think it was last Thursday, I notified you that Canvas had experienced a cyber attack and that we had shut down basically our access to Canvas, and we decoupled, thank you to the technology department, they quickly decoupled Canvas from any other programs that we had, so no other platforms were compromised. Since then, you've probably seen it in the news that attack impacted thousands of schools. I think what I heard was 9,000 colleges, universities, and public schools. So like I say, fortunately that was resolved, and as we know right now, Canvas is up and running again. All of our data seemed to be intact. We didn't lose any grades, we didn't lose anything. But we did notify parents that we believe that student names or usernames, basically staff and students, and their school email addresses may have been accessed, which we can prevent any phishing on their part from bad actors. However, if parents put in their own personal email, we advise them to just kind of be on alert for anybody looking to scam them or take advantage of what was released and what was put out there. So anyway, as we know of right now, we're in a good place. Things are secure, but I'll continue to update you as that unfolds. Second thing I want to update you on is the bonus. If you remember when the governor passed a bonus, he allocated a certain amount of money, basically $1,500 for full-time employees as a bonus that could be offered in FY26 or FY27. We did have some flexibility to adjust that amount depending on really what we could afford. We had every intention of offering that in June, but as we were coming down to the wire, our budget is very tight, okay? And I alluded to that earlier in the school year when we had our joint meeting with supervisors, the loss of ADM, increasing costs, and just kind of big ticket items that we've purchased this year, has made our budget extremely tight. Some would call that extremely efficient. So in some ways that's a good thing. However, it makes it hard to come up with $700,000 in the last hour to do a bonus. So right now we've applied for the bonus and it pretty much indicated that we would be given that in FY27, which would be September-ish. The one good thing about doing it then is we could possibly afford to do the entire $1,500 bonus for everybody, as opposed to reducing that just so we can do it in June. So it's got its pros and cons. I'd prefer to do it in June, but at the same time, I'd prefer to give everybody as much as we can. So if that changes, I'll update you at our next meeting, but that's kind of where we stand with our bonus at the moment. Despite the fact that we do not have a budget from the state, we are going to go ahead and issue contracts within the next couple of weeks. So hopefully by the end of May, all of our contracts are out there. If something comes back, the only thing that I anticipate potentially changing is we've given a 2% raise to our administrators, a 3% raise to all other employees. I expect the state, or hope the state comes back with a 3% bonus, 3% raise to all employees. I'm anticipating that, but at the same time, until we see it, we're not going to count on that. So we're going to go ahead and do contracts as is, and if we have to make a revision later, that will not be too hard to do for our administrators. Just a reminder that tomorrow night, we have a joint board meeting with our supervisors. That'll be at 6 o'clock at Alta Vista Combined School. And at that meeting, the focus is going to be basically how we got to where we did with our capital improvements plan. How did Alta Vista become the next topic or the next site to take a look at? Talk about what we did with our feasibility study with RRMM, and then walk that building, tour it, and see what kind of shape it's in, with the hopes that when we finish that meeting, we will make an impression and hopefully move forward with that renovation project. I do think there are a lot of different things that could come up, so you all, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call tomorrow. We can talk through them. And I want to thank Ms. Anderson. She'll be there with her staff to make sure that we can get where we need to get and to comment on the status of the building. When I say anything could potentially come up, before Mr. Tweedy came in and he talked to us about the emergency services building, he also talked to us about the animal shelter. So when we're all at the table with the supervisors, just be prepared that anything could potentially come up. And it's a good opportunity for us to work with them, collaborate with them, and take advantage of that opportunity. So the Technical Center, Mr. Hardy and his staff get to kick off the awards season on Friday this week. We have our awards ceremony for the Campbell County Tech Center. That's at Tree of Life at 9:15, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then next Tuesday, we have our CTE signing day. That will be right here in this room at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, May the 19th. And I think right now, if I remember correctly, looking at Ms. Wilson's email, we got about 20, 25 kids right now.
Last count, we've got some things pending that Mrs. Wilson's working on and everything like that. Looks like about 27.
Okay, great.
Wow. Okay, last count I looked at. But we've still got a lot of movement every single day, and every single day there's an opportunity for a young person to be hired.
Yeah.
So they can always check.
So what a great day, and we appreciate what you and your staff do there. I mean, we talk about graduation. To me, obviously, graduation will always be the best day of the year, and watching those kids walk across the stage. But they walk across that stage for a reason, and that's so we can make them or help them be life ready and get them into their next phase of life, and that will be what we see on Tuesday. So super excited about that. And then the last thing I have for you tonight is before you leave, Tracy has a folder for you which contains my end of the year evaluation, something that we ask you all to take back. You've got a month to think about how you can shake me up and give some constructive criticism if needed, and some praise if needed as well. So anyway, if you all would take those, and then we've got an envelope in there for you to send them to Mr. Phillips. He'll compile all of those and then share that with me, and then we can discuss it at our next meeting in June. All right? Any questions for me? All right, that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Stanley. Matters from the board. Start with Ms. Parker.
Well, thank you. Actually, I had an empty sheet for a little bit. It's only been a couple weeks since our last meeting. And I'm just excited for all of the graduations and the award ceremonies and everything that's coming up. Really appreciate, of course, the bees have already left the building with the exception of Bobby. But just big congratulations to our bees. I know that, I mean, Miss Emanuel's just a blessing. I mean, my children had the blessing of starting with her very first theater, kids camp theater. Back in the day, it made a complete difference in their lives to stand on a stage and have the confidence to speak, especially in elementary school. So I appreciate her all the time. I don't know how she does it. I truly, the woman must not sleep. But the students were all fabulous, and thank you, Bobby. Congratulations to you too for everything and all that you do for the kids. You're just an amazing presence in the building as well. And I'm looking forward to CT signing on Tuesday. That's one of my favorites, and I appreciate Mr. Hardy and Brian, everybody, and Will. Shout out to Will. There's only a few people here, and Christy, I didn't know she was retiring. My goodness, but thank you for everything, and Miss Hunley. But no, just looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Parker. Mr. Jones.
First thing is, I want to thank Ms. Parker for allowing me to go to the student advisory meeting a couple weeks ago. That was very, very impressive, and the students that represent their schools are really extraordinary young men and young women. And one of them from Rustburg, Jillian Jerkow, she was very impressive during the meeting, and I think that next night or the following night got to see her and Mary Poppins. And you know, I hate to brag on somebody, but she's truly talented at everything she does. And Mary Poppins was great. My wife and the grandchildren went to see Little Mermaid, and they said that was extraordinary for the Brookfield Theater. And so thank you for letting me attend that advisory meeting. Ms. Cunniff, I see you there. Thank you for what you've done for Rustburg Middle School, and I remember you with your hard hat and making Rustburg Middle School happen and make it the showplace it is today. And we just thank you for everything you've done and you continue to do. The CVS, Central Virginia Governor School, those award winners, y'all listen to two of them. On April 22nd, I was privy to go listen to 6 of them back to back to back. And I would love to read you what they are, but honestly, I can't read the words. I mean, I would love to read it, but I would embarrass myself trying to read the titles. But the one that was really extraordinary to me was titled this: More Than Meets the Eyelash, the Effects of Application Duration on Microbial Growth in Cosmetics. And my 2 co-evaluators, and my wife went as well, and they were blown away with what you all may be doing when you slap your makeup that lays in the car all day long and bacteria grow in it, and you slap it on your eyes and your lips. But wow. It just blows me away how talented these young men and women are. Huh?
Just wash your face.
But, to single out this tanner.
I don't wear any.
I mean, I'm not. You want me to use clay?
That would be great.
But it was they're so talented. I mean, it's just like, where do they get this from? I mean, it's just. Does it start at Mr. Deacon? I mean, is that where it initiates at? I mean, it's just. For sure. It's so extraordinary, but it was certainly a wonderful evening. I think it's the 3rd year in a row I've been doing it, and it's just great. Brookfield speech team, they're extraordinary. They're truly extraordinary at what they do, and it's compliment them for their successes, and certainly the donations. Chick-fil-A for that big donation for Mr. Womack Teacher of the Year. I mean, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So that's all I got.
All right, thanks. Ms. Tanner, your turn to get your revenge.
No, not today. I'm not going to take a bunch of time because I took some time at the beginning to share with Doug. But 14 days, like we can do it. 14 days for our teachers. I want to shout out to our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. That was last week. That they all do such an exceptional job, and it was really cool to kind of see the things across the county that the schools were doing to recognize their teachers and in different organizations. So shout out to all of them as we make it through these last 14 days. Part of the role of the vice chair is to keep up with legislative priorities. And so VSBA, the time is coming to look at any of those if we want to put anything up. June 15th is our deadline. So I've got a copy of just kind of the priorities that VSBA has listed. But I also am going to email you guys a link to the current page for just kind of the general ed legislative that's there to kind of see if there's anything. I think one thing that's kind of on, when I talked to Dr. Stanley's mind, is our collective bargaining, and that's going to become in effect for July 1st. And so we're kind of looking at what that's going to look like with the school system as we move forward. But I've got just flip over through this, and I encourage you to click on the link that I email you tonight, just to kind of look over and see if there's anything that you think we need to bring to the table, and we can do that work prior to our meeting and get that in place for the 15th. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Baum, we'll just go down the line.
It's a packet. Actually, that's my big packet.
Well, I'll echo what Ms. Tanner said. Appreciate all the teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. We got 14 days left. We're wrapping up SOLs and the younger kids, the VALS testing, and everyone's gearing up for end of the year activities and graduations and award ceremonies, so buckle up. I also chatted with some of you. I wanted to bring up, as part of good governance, transparency, and responsible stewardship of public resources, I believe it is important that the board periodically review major professional service contracts. Given that the division has worked with the same legal counsel for approximately 40 years without issuing an RFP, I believe it is appropriate to review the market and ensure we are serving the best interests of our division and our community. With that, I move that the board direct the superintendent to draft a request for proposals for legal counsel services with and present the proposed RFP to the board for review with sufficient time for recommendations prior to being put out for bid.
Okay. Do we have a
That was the
second
motion.
on the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, so we'll put the motion to a vote for pursuing an RFP for legal counsel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. All those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, the ayes have it. So, Dr. Stanley, if you could pursue that and circle back with me, and we can follow up at the next meeting. Sounds good. With details on that, so. Okay. All right, anything else, Ms. Vaughn?
That's it.
All right. Mr. Pearman?
All right. Well, first of all, the meeting has been great to see the students from the governor's school get up here and talk about circumstances and scientific theorems that I had no idea about. Was fascinating. And I will also say that, wow, to see that we have multiple state champions at Brookville is very obvious. They were absolutely awesome, so it was good to see that. To talk about what I have going on in my little neck of the woods. First of all, we had a great student showcase for our spring art show and a band concert that was last week. Lots of creativity. You see their hard work and their dedication of what they're doing every day, so I was very proud of that. It's great to see the arts kind of coming back at William Campbell and the birth of the theater coming along there, so I love to see the expansion. Our band got to go to King's Dominion, and they got to perform there for a second year in a row, so that was great. We also would like to extend some appreciation to our maintenance department and Ms. Puckett, who's our highlighted teacher of the month. Her agriculture students, they took down the old greenhouse. They're going to be rebuilding the new greenhouse, getting ready for that to be installed this summer. That's going to be a great new learning opportunity. As far as athletics, we've got the softball team is in second place currently. Baseball is in sixth. Tennis is in fifth. So we've got quite impressive spring athletics seasons going on. And we had two athletes that got to celebrate today on their signing of their colleges that they chose. And they're going to continue their academic and their athletic career. Nasia Dews is going to be attending Virginia Military Institute. And Laura Lee Spickard She signed with Mary Washington, University of Mary Washington. These are students first, folks. High GPA, high performing, very intelligent young ladies who are going to go far. They just happen to be athletic as heck too, so I can appreciate that. Great job to those ladies. At Brookdale Elementary, we had Teacher Appreciation Week at both schools. That went well. SOL testing is going on. We all know that's going on in our world. Students are working very hard there on the elementary school, and then we have a lot of end-of-year events coming up. We have a girls' leadership breakfast on May 22nd, and then our music teacher, Miss Bailey, has a concert at the Academy of Arts on May 22nd coming up. We've got Field Day coming up, of course, at the end of the month, 26th and 27th, a talent show on the 28th, and then our promotion ceremony is coming up on the 29th. And our Employee of the Month down at Brookdale Elementary is Elisa Blevins. She's a third grade teacher. So congratulations, Ms. Blevins. Great leadership. She holds her students to high expectations, and the kids love her. So thank you so much. And last but not least, I would like to thank Ms. Cundiff for all of her service, as she's going to be leaving Rustburg here pretty soon and retiring. I think Ms. Cundiff may have cut her teeth on me, or I cut them on her. I don't know. But she was my advanced algebra trig teacher one of our first years, I think, at William Campbell. So many moons ago, she tried her best to teach me. Tough class. But no, I thank you for your service. I appreciate you. That's all I have.
Where are you at now, Mr. Pearman? Look where you're at.
All due to you, Ms. Cundiff. You steered me away from math. I've done that myself. I've done that myself.
All right, Mr.
Yes,
Maddox.
I would just like to thank all the businesses and civic organizations and individuals that supported our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. I think we fed a lot of people. It's amazing. I know at Alta Vista was amazing anyway. And it's my understanding tomorrow night there's a talent show going on at the school. So if any of y'all would like to participate while we're touring, I'll see if I can make that happen. Mr. Jones?
Are we judging?
No, we're not judging. If you have any talent.
Oh my goodness.
So is this after we tour or?
No, it's going on while we're touring.
Be interesting.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gary. So real quick, at Rustburg High School, as folks have mentioned, there was a performance for Mary Poppins that was absolutely fantastic, according to Mr. Shields. Congratulations to Mr. Munson and his entire team for putting that performance on. We did have a prom, after prom this weekend, and a big thanks to the PTSO and also all the organizations, Wood Branch Farms, Target, Chick-fil-A, Sugar Bush Bakery, Equip FM, and Calvary Church for their donations, gift cards, and so forth to support that event. And Ms. Cundiff, you mentioned you have your agricultural plant sale was a huge success, and you guys have a chorus concert coming up next Tuesday the 19th at 6 o'clock. So be sure to get out and support that. And I'm not going to let Mr. Deacon outdo you. I'll give you a standing round, Ms. Cundiff. Thank you very much for all your hard work, and enjoy your retirement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Barry, you can sit down now.
Well, I wouldn't go quit.
No, I'm kidding. Anybody else have anything before we make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Motion second. Aye. All those in favor? None opposed? Meeting adjourned.
See you tomorrow.